I have a question for the great Trevor Horn of the Buggles. Has a video officially killed the radio star? Welcome to this week's episode of the Advisor Mentorship Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Hauser, and our guest is a CFP who obtained a degree in photography from RMIT University in Melbourne, Australia, before returning to the US and joining her mother's RIA. She left in 2013 to start one of the first completely virtual subscription model financial planning businesses and then pivoted to working, speaking, and consulting with financial planners in 35 countries. She now combines that creative side with a passion for the profession as founder and chief video officer of Advisor Video Marketing. Our guest today is Katie Braden, who was also mentioned in 2016 Investment News, 40 under 40 alum. How are we doing today, Katie?
Doing awesome, Jeremy. How are you?
I am doing fantastic, and wow, a lot of things that happen in your life.
A
So,
few. And another fun little tidbit that we didn't get to mention there. I'm also a private pilot.
well, there you go too. So basically, people that work with you, they can come to you, or you go to them, huh?
Yeah, why not?
Well, that's pretty exciting. And so for the audience here today, and I know I talked to you a little bit yesterday about this, and so you know a little bit more. And coincidentally enough, my wife was the one who actually looked and found Katie a couple months back, and she does a lot of some of the, I guess you can say, R&R and research of some advisors that are out in the marketplace on LinkedIn. And she brought this idea to me, and I thought it was very spot on to, you should have a conversation with somebody who does really well with video. And not only her, but our common friend Matt Holleran actually recommended you. So that's why today we're interviewing Katie, who will talk a little bit more about her background, her experience, and really how she started to utilize video marketing in her processes. So, Katie, mind sharing a little bit with the audience who you are and your
Yeah,
processes?
absolutely. Sure. So you touched on a lot of it. And so I'll maybe go back to, 2013. I started one of the first completely virtual monthly subscription financial planning businesses, as you mentioned, Jeremy.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to be leveraging that degree in photography so that I could tell my parents, hey, it wasn't a wasted degree. And I was just realizing very early on, and 10, 11 years later, it's still the case. So few people really know, who financial advisors are and what they do. There still is very outdated perception. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to start using video in my business. So I had a YouTube channel, that I started
Mhm.
11 years ago. I was sending out video emails, doing, video messages. And most people know, right? If you've been in business for a while, it often takes 6+ months of someone following you before they actually take action. And so because I had these videos out there, I was using them. And this is what I coach advisors to do. You want to use them and all marketing mediums as much to attract your ideal client as you do to deter the clients that aren't ideal. So by the time people got to a discovery call with me, my close ratio was, 90+%. They
Mhm.
had already formed a relationship with me before I ever knew they existed. So they already knew, liked, and trusted me. And so I was like, wow, this is fabulous, right? It had this one-to-one feel in these videos, even though I was doing them in a one-to-many process. So that was really what planted the seed. And I've had a few twists and turns in my journey since then, as you covered, but that's
Mhm.
what I really have come back to and coaching advisors to do.
And you mentioned something really crucial too. So so this was 11 years ago and
Yeah.
six months into doing it. So let's talk about a little bit of that time frame. So how many thoughts are going on in your head? Is this going to work? The doubt that creeps in, consistency process. Can you talk a little bit about um, some of that that comes in? Because a lot of advisors we find will start to do it, they come out strong, and it just kind of fizzles, and they just stop doing it because they don't see instantaneous results. Can you talk a little bit
Yeah.
about
And
that?
that is hands down the hardest part. You're battling endless imposter syndrome, right? You're going through the effort of creating these videos and then watching your YouTube channel going, oh, I only have 7 views on it, and then you question, is this worth it?
Mhm.
Why do I keep doing this? Right. And it's the same thing, even if you're blogging or Jeremy, if you're podcasting or you're on
Mhm.
social media, right? All of these mediums have that same trajectory. And every single person that has ever been successful on any of them will tell you it takes time. And consistency is the number one thing. And yes, life will get in the way. We've all had that. So it's okay. If you fall off the wagon for a little bit, get right back on, and just keep your face out there. One of the things I really work with people a lot on, and what I focus with advisors on, is easy and authentic video. And that's because when advisors are going out there and going through all this work of, paying $10,000 to rent a studio and $5,000,
Right.
to have like scripts written and going through compliance, it's like becomes this really huge thing. And you're putting all your pressure, on yourself. And you've taken all this time. You're like, this one video has to work. And it doesn't, 99% of the time it doesn't, because advisors haven't yet done the most important thing, which is building that comfort and confidence on camera. And that's why, anybody can go through this process, right? If you have the money and time and resources, you can create these high level videos, and there is a place for those. Absolutely. But Jeremy, this is a relationship business. And again, people don't understand who advisors are, what they do. And so this is where, the public, people that don't yet know you, and even your existing clients, right, who might want to refer, let them get to know you and see you. You're asking everything about their lives and to share things. So you need to build that rapport and show who you really are so that you're attracting your ideal clients. And that's where, again, it's going to take time. It's always going to take longer than you hope it does. But once it, gets going and gets that traction, it's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It does keep building from there. And then every advisor is like, I wish I would have started this sooner. Just like clients say, I wish I would have started saving sooner. I wish I would have, put this insurance in place sooner. We all wish we started sooner. So I work really hard on making it as easy as possible to get going, get that traction, and keep going.
It's so many nuggets right there that I know a lot of advisors can probably relate to, especially as they start to possibly do a workshop or putting all the production together, spending a lot of money on different things. But it's almost like how you just described it. Video is almost like buying insurance for your marketing. It's just having some additional video, additional content of you to help drive before and after your actual presentation. So talk to the advisor who maybe is not currently doing video marketing at all in their practice. So why should that advisor start to utilize video in their practice as of yesterday in today's world?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're an advisor that truly does care about building deeper relationships with your existing clients and attracting more of your target audience, video is hands down the best marketing ROI you will get. Remember, marketing is both to prospects and to existing clients, right? It's how you communicate. So this is the next best thing to being in person. We know, unfortunately, even with all of our holograms and technology, we still cannot be in multiple places at once. So, it's doing those easy videos. It's adding it to your process. And one of the things I always say, for growth-focused advisors, think about a prospect out there right now, sitting at their desk, who's like, wow, I really need to reach out to an advisor right now. And they're going to pull up 5 advisor websites, any 5 advisor websites. There's a 97% chance, very scientific stat I'm giving you here, Jeremy,
Yeah,
that
I've
they
listened.
all look the same, right? And so people are going to go on, and everybody has their standard professional picture, and they all, have their degrees and certificates and how long they've been in there, and that they have, 2 dogs and they love football. How on earth does the prospect decide? Right? They get analysis paralysis. They haven't done anything all these years, and now they're like, I don't know how to choose, so I'm still not going to do anything. So video is that differentiator at every single step of the process, right? Imagine if instead they get to your website. Let's say I'm, on your website, Jeremy, and you came on mine, right? And you see a video of me, and then you connected with that video. It creates a completely different experience from the get-go, right? So that's what advisors are often talking about. Well, how do I differentiate? How do I differentiate? Video is the best differentiator, and so few advisors are doing it. And I've been talking about this for the last 11 years, and I have a feeling I'm still going to be talking about it 11 years from now. But it is not too late for those that think maybe it is. Not at all.
And for those, and might as well put a plug there, and we'll talk about that experience I had for going to your website. What is your website?
Advisor VM. So for video marketing, advisorvm.com.
Perfect. We'll talk about that exchange we had, which was very unique, I will say, but I was camera ready, so I was ready. For the, I'd say also, so currently right now, so you mentioned your team actually does help individual advisors. Y'all do really well. You've over the time found a niche, you know who your target market is, what the right advisors and so forth. So how does your team help advisors? Can you explain a little bit more of what your team does to help advisors with video?
Yeah, so we've been playing with this for a few years now. This is probably year 4, really
Mhm.
honing in on this process. And so we work really well with advisors that, really want to use video. And this is, Jeremy, every single week I talk with advisors like, I have, all this equipment that I bought and I have everything. And I'm like, cool, how's it going? They're like, it's still in the box,
Yep.
right? So many advisors want to do this. They just don't know where to get started. And again, it's building that comfort and confidence, right? Advisors get analysis paralysis. So we've kind of, I think, perfected this process. So I have a 12-week workshop kept very small because I'm huge on personal coaching, and advisors love, getting to know each other, getting to learn from each other. It's not just me blabbing the whole time. So we meet virtually for 1 hour each week. We're hyper focused on just building the skills step by step by step. And I always think about this like my financial planning business. I never did a full financial plan. I did modular financial planning with clients, right? Met them where they're at and then brought them on the journey. So it's the
Hmm.
same here. So building that comfort and confidence, going through all of the technical elements, working with each person individually on what is their ideal lighting, setup, background, camera, their style that they want. Because we don't want to have a bunch of clones. We don't want the whole website issue to just
Correct.
replicate in video. We want
Yep.
everybody's personality to come out. So working with that comfort, confidence, the technical stuff, and then the content, right? That's the thing that comes last. And advisors often want to do that first. But then we look at how do you create valuable and engaging content, create a content calendar, and then we even create their YouTube banner, YouTube thumbnails, fully set up their YouTube channel, and do a couple of professionally edited videos. Because that's where, you want to cut out the beginning, the end, maybe add some text and graphics to really grab attention. So nothing
Mhm.
super fancy, but we want to make sure videos are valuable and engaging to the audience.
No, that's really good stuff. And what are the most frequently asked questions that you actually receive from advisors around video marketing? And because I know you deal with a lot of advisors, and for years now, you may have common questions that you hear. So what are those common questions, and how do you typically respond to those?
Yeah, the biggest one, hands down, is just where do I get started? And again, advisors are so good, analysis paralysis, just very heavy technical thinkers. They will research the heck out of things and then not take action. So this is
Mhm.
where it's just about practicing. So the homework I always love giving people, Jeremy, is to start sending gratitude videos. Just one-to-one video messages. So you can send these via email, and we can talk about a few tools. You can send these via text to your family. And this is where it's also just a good practice as a human, right? We often
Mhm.
think about people in our lives, friends or colleagues or family members. And we're like, oh, I need to call them. And we don't. So this is a great exercise to slow down and actually just record a quick message, like less than 60 seconds. I find like 45 seconds is a really good sweet spot, and literally just say like, hey, Jeremy, just wanted to say that I've been thinking about you, so appreciate you having me on your podcast. Hope everything's going really great, right? It's not a sales tactic. It's not, trying to like get anything. It's
Mhm.
just genuinely showing gratitude. And the thing I love about these is it always surprises the person on the other end. So that when you get the response back, you're like, oh my gosh, that made my day, right? How many people would love getting that message? People have a crappy day, they're overwhelmed, they're burned out, and then they just get this spontaneous gratitude. That,
Mhm.
I love it because it highlights perfectly the value of these easy and authentic videos. You don't need perfect lighting. You don't need to be dressed up. You don't need everything to be perfect, right? So it's just about practice. Same thing if you're learning any new skill at all. Practice makes perfect, even
Mhm.
though we're not aiming for perfect. But that's where I love starting. So that you can do this like in a little team in your office. You can do it with other colleagues, but that's the best place to get started and build
Mhm.
from there.
And they probably ask you, so, okay, well, after the gratitude videos, if I were to start to now branch out and do a little more, I'm sure you get asked the question, what should I talk about if I want to start doing more mass marketing? Do you ever get that, or what would you
Yes.
say to that advisor?
Yeah, advisors are so funny. They're like, what do I talk about? And I always say, what are those questions that you've been asked 1,000 times by your target audience that you could answer in your sleep, right? We've all had those questions where every discovery meeting or every annual client meeting, they're asking the same kinds of questions. That is the content you should be talking about. Don't make your life any harder. You don't need to go research things that you're not familiar with, talk about things that you're not passionate about. Start with those things. But that was the key that I said for your target audience. And this is where advisors so often, one of the things I love working with advisors, you just want to help everybody. And they're like, I want to do educational content and make things accessible. Love that heart and altruism. That isn't going to pay the bills. That isn't going to grow your business. And that's one thing that pretty quickly leads to burnout, right? So you're putting all this effort in with no return. So having topics that are very specific to your target audience. So whatever it is, if you're talking about social security, retirement, saving for your kids' college education, your employee benefits, tell stories, right? We all know stories are what connect. Give examples, sample case studies that are specifically relevant to your target audience. Because again, that's what's going to pull people in. And then somebody's going to go, oh, wow, Jeremy gets me. Jeremy understands what's going on in my life. I want to work with him. Right. Versus if it's just like totally generic education, they're going to go, oh, cool, that was helpful. And it's not even going to dawn on them to take action and call you.
Mm-hmm. And I take it to in working with your team. So there are, and I actually have some of these advisors as well over the years where they went out and they purchased a lot of the stuff. They've
Yeah.
actually leveraged. They've asked me, what do you have for your studio set up? And so a lot of them have it. They may be sitting there just in a box, like you mentioned, but some advisors may have just been not there yet of purchasing. So your team helps them with, just suggestions on putting that all together because it's not easy to figure out because then you got to worry about lighting, you got to worry about camera, and then what's in the background. So your team does all that for them too, right?
Absolutely. Yep. And we do that both in the group coaching, because again, it's fun to get other people's perspectives of like, hey, what do you think about this? Right. Again, it's not just the Katie show. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody has a different budget, they have different space, they have different goals. So working with them, like you said, on everything from what microphone should they get, what camera should they get, what lighting, what is in their background, what angle of desk. I've even recommended, I'm standing up right now. I always recommend advisors stand while they're doing videos. It just brings a whole different energy. So I'll even recommend, stand-up desks. So all
Mm.
those little things. It's been so fun to see advisors change their space or even say, in the beginning, I just haven't felt comfortable in my space, right? And that's again what comes back to the easy and authentic video. If you're not in a space that you feel good about, that is always set up to do these videos, you're not going to do it.
So
Right.
true.
So I don't want advisors to like have all this stuff, like I have to bring in all this lighting and set it all up and do this. You're not going to do that. So I'm constantly looking at what are barriers to execution and then finding ways to just break those down.
I absolutely love that. And that is so spot on. So hopefully the listener actually heard that part. It's very spot on. And I want to talk a little bit about the experience too, because you referenced it, the niche. So the advisors that listen to this podcast, so why do people choose to do business with you over others? So I'm going to go down a quick little journey of our communication. So, and even me, I mean, I do a lot of videos and I was actually taken back and thinking, man, how do I use this? So, we'll share a little bit about the resources, but if you didn't catch Katie's actual website, so it was Advisor, what was it again?
Advisor VM for video marketing. So advisorvm.com.
Yes. So advisorvm.com. So reaching out to Katie to see if she was open to doing the show. She had a very unique thing on her website. So this was something brand new to me. I'm sure maybe some advisors have seen this before. I don't know. But it was very interesting on clicking on her link and the experience of that, where you have three options where you can basically immediately contact Katie. So you can send an email, I think it was maybe a text message, or you could send a video to her. So since I was at the computer, I sent her a video and it actually already within, I think, minutes. So based off of Katie's time, I'm sure she wasn't just twiddling her thumbs. So over the course of later on that day, I received a customized video back from her. So do you mind sharing with the audience a little bit about some of the resources that are very unique of how to separate them from the competition?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will start again because I'm so big on making things easy. And I am agnostic on all tools, all equipment. Again, what works for one isn't going to work for someone else. So I will
Mhm.
start by saying if you use Loom and you like Loom, perfect. Some advisors love it, some advisors don't. But if you have it, you're using it, don't go down a path of like trying to research other things. Loom is great for those one-to-one videos, one-to-many videos. You can use it for internal training, a lot of different things.
Mhm.
Tool that you came across is called Video Ask.
Mm.
So it's actually partnered with Typeform. So a lot of advisors will be familiar with Typeform. So Video Ask allows these asynchronous conversations to happen. So that's what I love about it. You can send that text message, an audio message, or I always intentionally respond the fastest to video messages because I'm just so happy to get those. And I have it on my phone. So I have, kid you not, I've sent videos back from a grocery store, from an airport, like while I'm
Mhm.
out on a walk. Again, making sure that I'm also practicing what I preach. So imagine that differentiating experience. Even if somebody sends me a text message, I still send a video message back, right? So it's those little things. And this is where I have so many great, I mean, I kid you not, the amount of success stories from advisors that have gone through my workshop that have landed new business just by sending a one-to-one video, usually after their discovery meeting, sometimes before, right? Because it builds that relationship. And then people come in, they're like, I already want to work with you. How do we
Mhm.
move forward? You know, it's these little things that take less than 60 seconds that are such a differentiator. And again, in this relationship business, it shows that you care, you know, versus anybody can have, you know, templated emails or write an email. But when you get these video messages, total game changer. I mean, Jeremy, I felt like I got to know you, right? And we went back and forth a couple of times and it
Mhm.
didn't really disrupt the day when it worked for you, when it worked for me. And, you know, so I felt like even when we hopped on the call, I was like, yeah, we already know each other.
Correct. And that's why I really wanted to highlight that on today, because for a lot of the people, advisors especially, that listen to this, it was a very unique journey where two individuals didn't even know each other, and here we are actually doing a podcast within days of actually communicating with one another. So it was video. You said Video Ask.
Video ask. Yep.
Yeah, it was incredible. So yeah, definitely check that out. And Katie that's one of multiple resources already. I've went through the website. There's several tools for advisors to get good video and training. So I guess as
Well, and
we're
Jeremy, I just want to say for anybody listening to the podcast,
Mhm.
please hop on my website. It's this little talk to me button that will pop up in the bottom right of any web page and shoot me a message. Again, I will encourage you to do a video message. Tell me, you know, what was maybe a takeaway from this podcast episode, or what are we not touching on in this episode that you would love to know? Because I will always respond to those.
I absolutely love that. And if you do that, I will make sure that you will be included in one of Katie's upcoming workshops. So yeah, that's a good driving mechanism. So very cool. And as we're actually wrapping up here, is there anything that we missed, or, we've mentioned people can find you on the website, anything else, any other suggestions?
You know, I just really say anybody that is listening to this episode, Jeremy, and is still listening, has thought about doing video, right? Might be the ones with the equipment in the closet or just doesn't know where to get started. I will say, honestly, just get started. You're going to feel silly in the beginning. It's
Mhm.
not gonna be perfect. But again, think about any other new thing you have ever started in your life. If you were in sports, you weren't good in the beginning. If you know, started training for a marathon or learning to bake or anything else, nobody is great in the beginning. That just isn't a thing. So get started, find that little group, start with those gratitude videos. You can also send happy birthday videos. People love those.
Mhm.
Again, massive differentiator. Picture sending a happy birthday message to a prospect that's been on the fence, or a COI that you're trying to get in the door with, right? I so often love sending those. People be like, I got 100 messages today and yours was the only one I responded to. Differentiator, right? You can
Mhm.
send it for people saying happy graduation, happy retirement, happy promotion, all these little touch points. So easy, great way to start your day, great way to build those deeper relationships and attract more of your ideal clients.
Well, I will definitely say thank you so much for your time. I think I have some advisors ready to run through a wall with some marketing ideas. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And also thank you to the listener. for also tuning in to this week's episode. Feel free to subscribe on your favorite listening device as we continue to bring on new guests for the podcast. Also, follow us on not only YouTube, but also LinkedIn at Jeremy Hauser as we continue to share little snippets and clips from our previous episodes. And as we are wrapping up, make sure in a world full of betas, be an alpha. Take care.